Hey, what's going on, everybody? Michael Levan here. This is just going to be a really quick update to the channel and essentially like what direction I really see it going in right now. So, I would say the first thing is one, if you haven't checked it out on CBT, we have 3 skills left until the professional DevOps path is completely done. You can even get like almost 9 of them right now live. They're up and ready to start watching. Essentially what we do is we release skills and then they're part of a course sometimes, and then that course is kind of sent out, and then everybody can see it from either the course or from individual skills. So if you're interested in professional DevOps in the Azure space, definitely check that out. It's update number 1. Update number 2 for the channel. So if you've been following me, you see that I'm pretty active, like from a blog perspective, speaking at several conferences, live virtual events, recorded events, in person, once everything goes back to normal and we're able to get in person. But lately I've been jumping into YouTube as well. And my YouTube has been around pretty much everything and anything from like a development and a DevOps perspective. So I'll have some stuff for like Visual Studio Code spaces. I'll have some stuff for deploying web apps in C#. I have some stuff for Python, some DevOps technologies. So it's a little bit kind of like all over the place, and that's good because there's a wider range. It can really hit a little bit of everybody. The problem with that is it's a wide range. So essentially, like what that can do is, let's say somebody's super interested in code spaces, but I only post one video about code spaces, and then the next week I'm posting something about, like, I don't know, Kubernetes or Docker or something like that. The problem with that is that it's not, in my opinion, it's not focused enough. So what I did was I posted out a tweet, I think it was yesterday, and I essentially said, hey, I'm going to focus my channel, at least right now, on having a series of learning programming. Now, that's going to be, Python for maybe 6 or 7 weeks. I'm going to have PowerShell for 6 or 7 weeks, JavaScript for 6 or 7 weeks. And then I'm going to, maybe try out some new programming languages that I haven't used a lot. So for example, I had a lot of people reach out to me and ask me to do like a little series on Golang. I had a few people reach out to me to do a little series on Rust. So I've touched Golang a little bit. Rust, I've literally never touched before, 0 experience. So I think the idea here is that I'm going to like learn a programming language and then I'm going to teach it to you. And I'm not saying that I'm going to be like, creating the next social media application or the next huge $1 million application when I'm learning these programming languages. But what I really want to focus on is the basics of how to learn programming, like in general, like what conditionals are, what logic is, if statements, for loops, fields in C#, tuples in Python, dictionaries in Python, objects in PowerShell. There's so many different things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like I said, take, 6 or 7 weeks for each programming language. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a project that goes with it. So for example, I think for the Python one, I'm going to do a Flask API for the project. And then for the C#, for example, for the project, I'm going to show, how to maybe list virtual machines or another resource in Azure, for example. So yeah, I think that's really like where I see the channel going right now. I have had a few other pieces of feedback, like to branch out a little bit more into like data structures, for example, and just for like, SQL databases and Redis cache and stuff like that. I think that will come later. I think that'll take away from like the, just learning programming in general, and the other thing too is I think the wide variety of languages is really going to help people because you definitely want to master at least one language. Like for me, I think it's always going to be PowerShell. I mean, PowerShell's like the one language that I don't have to touch for a long time, and I could just open up VS Code and just like start writing a function to do something in Azure. I think that's always going to be like the main one for me. I also think it's like the most enjoyable for me, to be honest. I think the second runner is always going to be Python, and right now I'm training a lot in C sharp, so that's going to always, I think that's going to be like my third one. But I I think like in general, it's just really fun to learn new programming languages to see how other programming languages work. Um, I also think that this is like very much for people that are passionate about learning programming. Um, what I would say is if you like watch the Python series or you watch the PowerShell series or the C sharp series and you want to jump into it more, absolutely you should 100%. If you want to continue following along to see how the other languages work, absolutely 100%. Please feel free to keep watching the videos. Obviously, I would enjoy that very much. So yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be really fun. I think this is going to give an opportunity to have free training for multiple different programming languages, and it's not going to go super in depth. It's really going to be like the basics of learning programming. So this is going to probably start either next week or the week after. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a few things like, hey, you know, how to do variables, how to do logic, if statements, all that. I think I already said that. And then at the end, you know, a project. But I'm thinking the project is either going to be like I'm going to edit it and stuff and really, you know, figure out what I want to build and then build it, or I'm going to have, you know, one or two videos of like raw development experience of where I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm testing different methods out. I'm Googling stuff, you know, I'm really like jumping into it like the first time, very much like you would. So if you're doing a project for the first time in Azure, for example, like it's obviously not going to go as planned. It never does. So when I'm thinking of like, you know, maybe creating those videos of like that raw development of, yeah, I'm Googling stuff. Yeah, I'm testing stuff. Yeah, I got a bunch of bugs in the code. But I think that'll also give you guys the experience of like, hey, this is what happens for every developer. You know, this is kind of just a workflow, Googling stuff, testing, looking at methods, looking at types, seeing what, you know, types are available. Like, you know, can I put a string in this method? Can I put, you know, an integer in this method? Oh, if I do and I'm using this data type, is something going to break? Am I going to have a bug? Is my code going to build? And those are all things that we, you know, as developers kind of go through daily when we're writing code, because it's really just a trial and error at the end of the day. So definitely check it out. I'd love you guys to come subscribe, see all about the channel. I do have some other great videos up and some other great content, but going forward, it's going to very much be focused on like, okay, we're learning programming. I appreciate you guys checking into this, watching this video, and definitely continue to check out the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.